If you love music as much as I do and you like all the things Local Distortion does for unsigned artists, then please support the show by donating as little as £1 a month to patreon.com/Local Distortion Podcast. Please subscribe to the Local Distortion YouTube channel for more interviews, live performances and new shows exclusive to the channel. And also like and share the Local Distortion Facebook page at facebook.com/Local Distortion Podcast.
Well, I don't wanna go alone. I said, will you please just take me home? Take me home, take me home, take me home, take me.
Welcome to Local Distortion. On this podcast, I'll be talking to the best up-and-coming independent artists and bands. I am your host, Daniel Kirk. My guest this week is James White. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here. Hopefully I'm less boring than my name is.
Well, you have a little thing above your A in James. Let's talk about that. That's not boring.
Now you've ruined that. That's because I work in law, and that's to try and stop people from finding me on Facebook. So I'll have to put like an umlaut or something on there. It's all right. It's fine.
We'll talk a little bit about that later, because often I do ask people what they do for work. That's interesting.
No, it's actually as well because I spent a lot of time in Egypt, and the Egyptians just could not pronounce my name, so it was more like Hames. So yeah, that's where that comes from.
Oh, that's cool. See, not boring.
Well, James White, it sounds like a KKK leader, really, doesn't it? You know, it's such a... Like, put that into Wikipedia, there's about 100 James Whites. You will never find me. I could do the most obscene, disgusting, disgraceful thing that could bring shame upon a nation, and you will still get, like, the tab from Cambridge come up in front of me saying, James White fried a hamster. Like, and that is genuinely an article.
Yeah.
James White, not me. No. I did not fry a hamster. Yeah.
Did you ever think about being like called James White and the something? Or?
There's a guy called James White and the Blacks.
Oh, okay.
You know, like there's literally nothing left out there for me.
Mm.
It's just over. I might as well just give up. I was genuinely called Rage Against Genital Herpes when I played comedy-acoustic for 9 years.
I could not believe that. I was like, really?
Yeah, really.
You did that? How well did that go down?
It varied. It varied show to show. Sometimes it went really well. Other times it went...
What about when you were like ringing, like booking people, like to book a show? Like, oh yeah, by the way, my name is...
You know, it's been so long since I've played that. I've not even really sort of thought about that.
Did you always regret that first conversation where you had to say the name, or were you proud of it? Or?
Absolutely shameless growing up. I was so shameless. I mean, like one of my first dates involves running across the bridge that goes across the train station butt naked and doing lunges towards cyclists. I have no shame. I'm also known as a guy who ran around my college in my boxers. You know, I got kicked out of a school I never attended because some people made a poster of me which said Slash for Führer, Slash being my nickname at college because I used to have long hair like the guy from Guns N' Roses. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever had shame until I've actually started taking life a little bit more seriously. But yeah, I think even when I was booking stuff back then, I probably thought I was much funnier than I was. So yeah, that'd be that.
So when did you decide that writing and performing music is what you wanted to do? I know you did the comedy thing for a while, and for quite a long time actually.
Yeah, like 9 years is a long time.
That is a very long time actually.
And that was kind of like part of it. I started getting bored of sort of not being taken seriously. I remember I used to play every single week at God Rest Its Soul, The Emperor in Cambridge. And I wrote what was my first serious song, which is Don't Look Back, which is probably my most well-known song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I went to the crowd I played every week. I was like, I'm gonna play a song that I've written now that's serious, and I got booed before I even played one note of that song. And it was there at that moment. I was like, wow, if you want to carry on, like, you know, sort of writing serious music, you're just gonna have to jack this in. Yeah. You know, the comedy stuff has to go. It's one or the other. And by that point, 9 years of singing songs about banging my grandma in the shower and, you know, not being taken seriously. and actually wanted to write music about things like, politics and, the state of the world and things that actually matter, it was quite an easy choice at that point. So I wound down. I was really lucky to be able to go out and do a show with Professor Elemental. That was like my last show as Rage Against Genital Herpes, and that couldn't have been a more beautiful swan song for it. And fortunately, I mean, he was such a geezer that he did the intro for my first EP.
Yes.
And yeah, that was
don't listen.
It was really decent of him to be able to do that. I just went to him. It was like, because every single penny I get from music, I give to charity.
Yeah.
Like I said this to him. I was like, look, this is going to go towards the refugee crisis. I was wondering if maybe he'd want to do an intro. He was like, yeah, send over the songs. And at that point, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to get rumbled here. He's going to listen to this and just think, I don't want my name anywhere near this. And no, he sent back what was a brilliant little soundbite, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I was really chuffed for that. And that was a great finale for Rage Against Genital Herpes. And I took a little bit of time out and, sort of rebooted. It's been about 2.5 years now.
Yeah. Do you just want to shuffle up a little bit?
Of course.
Just because this is a directional mic. I don't think we'll have any problems with your projection.
It's my breath, isn't it?
A little bit.
I've had so much garlic. I had Nana Mexico today, which I endorse.
I really wanted to eat some cheese and onion crisps, and I was like, I can't.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's cool. You go nuts.
What if we share a packet? Then we'll be fine.
It's very romantic. I have to say, that's very forward of you. I've only known you a good 15 minutes, but you know what? I like a forward man. It's good. Don't mess about. Just get straight to it.
Do you want to share a packet of crisps? You just got to say it sometimes.
I'm just going to watch you and just sort of stare as you eat every single crisp individually, really sensually. I'll just sort of lick my finger with every one.
Oh, do you ever see those people who lick the crisp first? That's a bit strange.
That is really strange.
Yeah.
Who does that? Fiends.
I've seen
Philistines.
I've seen people do that. It's like people who they take apart a Jaffa cake. Have you ever seen that?
I've not seen that. I just remember the full Eclipse or whatever, Total Eclipse advert. That's all I remember.
No, they'll get a Jaffa cake and they'll basically strip it to the jelly part and just eat the jelly part just on its own.
That's wrong, isn't it? I wouldn't trust those people in a combat situation. You can't trust those sort of people.
They basically violated a Jaffa cake. Yeah. So let's talk about your new EP, Turned On.
I know. It finally...
Was that a pun? Or?
Yes, definitely is. Yeah.
Silly question.
Yeah, it was like the last bastion of my old humour really sort of coming out, particularly after having the first one be called The Lost and the Forgotten, and the front cover of it and back cover of it.
Yeah, because they're very different EPs.
I like to think that one's good and one's shit.
I wouldn't say that. They're just very different. They're about different things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate on how the differences are between them?
Well, the first one took about 1.5 years to record. Bless him, Aleki's a legend who I recorded with, and I'm so thankful for him for doing it because, he did it off his own back, he did it for no money, and he invested a lot of time in me. He was recorded in 3 different places. It was recorded in Islington, Dalston, and then in Saffron Walden, where I'm from. And it was just recorded in such a time apart where the songs sort of just became sort of really fragmented, and they weren't really what I'd aimed them to be, and it kind of just got to the point where it was just a grind to try and get them out and just get the EP out, because it was getting to the point where it was just like, look, I want to get this out, I want to raise some money, I want to actually go over to these refugee camps and actually, go sort this. Well, not sound like Batman. I'm going to sort this out. I wanted to go out and at least do something, and, I'd been over twice by this point, and I kind of thought I had maybe one more left in me, but that didn't happen, obviously, with the Calais jungle getting knocked down.
Yeah.
So it kind of got rushed out towards the end, and that really sucks. And I knew that when that came out, at best for me, I would give it a 3 out of 10. And that's just
that's pretty harsh.
I think that's very accurate for me, and I think that's probably very
but
generous.
You're always going to really be your worst critic.
Oh, I am.
On your own stuff.
Like people, I'm such a miserable git when I come off stage, because 9 times out of 10 I'm like, that was awful, that was terrible, and I just go have 2 beers and I just look like my pet fish has been shot.
Every band does that. They always come off and they're like, could have done better, could have done this better.
Oh, totally.
Every band does it.
But that first EP, it was like, the thing I was most proud of was the front cover, which I had nothing to do with outside of talking at one show about going over to the refugee camps like I had. Yeah. And then some guy went home and drew this absolutely ball-busting picture and then let me put it on the front.
Great piece of artwork.
Mitch Phillips. He's an absolute legend. And so that was really fun. I thought that was the best bit. Whereas the second one, it was like, I knew that I could do better. Like, I knew I could.
But it came out pretty much a couple months after.
It came out like a month and a half. And
yeah, how did you manage that? If the last one took so long, like what changed?
I went to my friend Tim Bond, who I grew up with at college, and I was like, look, I want to record an EP, and I want to do it fast, and I want to get myself over, because this is just as we were recording this just as the evictions at the Calais Jungle were going on. And I was like, we need to get money out over there immediately. And I kind of wanted to rectify the fact that I really didn't favourably look upon The Lost and Forgotten as strongly as I wanted. I was disappointed that was my first EP. I'm not really proud of that. I mean, I think Democracy, Hypocrisy is good. I think, Don't Look Back is, as I said, it's the song I'm most well known for. But I thought the rest of the EP was... It pains me to say it, but Chris Martin comes off better than, that EP did. And I was like, you know what? I want my second one to be more me. I want it to be more out there, more eccentric. I want to have guitar solos on it. I want to have brass on it. I want to have violins on it. I mean, how the hell I managed to get someone from the Philharmonic Orchestra to do violin on one of those songs is just beyond me.
I was going to ask you, I was like, it sounds a hell of a lot more...
decent?
Just grander in scale to what the first one was. And I was like, how has he done this in this short amount of time from the first one?
Because the first one was so drawn out, by January... So this is way before The Lost and the Forgotten had even come out. By January, I'd started writing the song for the second EP. So by this point, almost everything for the first one was done. But I just kind of needed to sort of get it out there, not touch it up.
Sorry, fix it up.
Yeah, that's a much more professional and nice way of saying it. I needed to fix it up and just get it out there. And it wasn't like I was anticipating it to be bad. I just, again, I knew that I could do better. So, 3 of the 4 songs at that point were sort of done in January, and 1 was done around about March. And then, basically went into the studio, set 3 days down, was like, right, just going to get this done. And, over 2 days my stuff was done. It was 4 days, actually, tell a lie. One day we had Fergus Quill and Tom Villiers coming in to do the piano and trumpet. On the final day, we just had Paul and Muldoon come in to do the violin. So it was in 4 days, really 3 whole days, it was just done. I just wanted it done.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest testament to that doesn't go to me. It goes to Tim Bond, and he runs a studio really near here. It's called Tim Bond Music, and he's just the best person to work with. I can't recommend him enough. He is just incredible, and he's such a nice guy. You'd happily take him home to your parents and show him off. I want to pet Tim Bond as well.
Not many people say that about their producers.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him. The moment I was done, I was like, right, when are we going to get the next one done? So, I'm meant to be in the studio in about a month and a week, but I'm going to beat it him because I was like to him, I was a bit of a git. I was like, come on, mate. I really want to get this out, because again, I had the sort of itch of sort of having the last one out, knowing I could do better, and knowing that the money was going to all go to charity. It was like, come on, it's really kicking off in Calais right now. People are going to be left completely sprawled out. So it was like, let's get on with this. And I really pushed him, bless him, and he's just such a diamond. He just got it done. But next time, he can have all the time in the world. He can take 2 years to do it if he wants. Yeah.
So could you tell me the story of how you came to use Tom Delonge's guitar on the second EP?
Yeah. Well, I will take you back to the mid-noughties, where Billy Lunn from the Subways went on tour with Angels and Airwaves across America. This was just as the Subways were releasing All or Nothing, which was the album produced by Butch Vig, who produced Nevermind.
Yeah.
And so this is during the Tom I Am a Visionary DeLonge era, where he was...
like 2006?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So I saw Angels and Airwaves around that time.
We're all embarrassed enough in this room to say that we saw Angels and Airwaves.
I'm not embarrassed. I don't care.
I saw
it sounded bad, but at the time I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. It wasn't Blink, but...
I've seen them 3 times. I was at their first show. I was there all day queuing up waiting. I didn't even go to the toilet, nothing. I got his pick. I had it in my wallet. My wallet got stolen. I went into mourning like he would bereave a family member when that wallet went missing. Not because of the git of having to get all the cards replaced. It was
the pick.
I've lost the pick.
Yeah.
I'd kiss that pick goodnight. I wouldn't. Anyway, Billy was touring with Angels and Airwaves and Taking Back Sunday. And on the last gig, Tom gave Billy the guitar that I came to
for no
sort of
reason,
borrow.
or just gave it to him, or did he ask? Or?
I'll ask Billy tomorrow. I'm seeing him tomorrow, so I'll ask him.
Sometimes Tom Delonge comes off as a bit of a knob, sometimes, but it seems like a nice thing to do.
He was my hero growing up. I loved him, and now I look at it and like, Mark was the cool one all along. I met him. If I could go back and meet him again, I'd appreciate it double, you know. And it was like, but yeah, I think, I say deep down, I sound like, you know, Padme talking about Anakin on her deathbed. You know? There's still good in him. He is a nice guy. I think it was just those few years in particular when he was high on painkillers, he just came across as a pompous knob.
I thought you were going to say high on paint.
High on
Paint fumes.
Times are hard. You're working in home base, so you got to get by. Yeah. So he just gave Billy a guitar. I'm not sure exactly what the motive was behind it. The years went
like 10 of them.
Yeah, he probably didn't even remember it. It was probably high.
So would you like to describe the guitar to people who haven't seen it? Obviously, I recognised it straight away. I was like, it's definitely his guitar.
Well, like after Billy lent it to me, basically sort of like, I went over to his studio and he sort of pointed to the case on the floor, because I asked him again, I was drunk, and I was like, can I borrow your guitar? The Tom DeLonge one. And Billy's so lovely. He was like, yes, of course, you know, I'll put new strings on it. He polished it and everything. I turned up, spoke to Billy, and I tried to keep it cool. You know, it was like, not is it only like one of my heroes, but I love Billy, and Billy taught me everything about showmanship that I know. So he sort of like just spent some time with Billy, and then I'm walking out with this guitar, and like I'm just trying to keep it straight. I'm just walking down the road, and like in my head, it's
like
just,
you've stolen something. You're like,
yeah, totally. I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, you know, like my face just looks normal, but inside my head, I'm like, ah! In the car, you know, like I'm driving, like, you know, shaking. And I get home, I literally just open it up, and again, it was just like, ah! I play it. It was just a dream, and I'd never owned a Gibson until really after that. So I borrowed this guitar for the EP. It was a dream. I've never played a guitar quite like it, and now, thanks Billy, I had to go sell some guitars because now I couldn't live without a Gibson. So now I had to get myself poor as just so I can have my own Gibson now. So cheers, Billy. I'm financially destitute because of you, Billy.
would you like to use that guitar again on the third EP?
Yeah, Billy said I can use it whenever, but one of the best bits about having that guitar, and this is going to sound mental, was giving it back. Because after I had that guitar, I had it in my house. I did the most stupid thing of like going on Google. I was like, I wonder how much a guitar owned by Tom DeLonge's worth.
Oh no.
10 grand.
I
was
10 grand?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
And I was like, that's in my house. I've got nothing more valuable than that. I've got a dog who was a wild dog from Corfu. Who destroys everything. I've got 2 cats. I've got a rabbit and a pygmy hedgehog. Pygmy hedgehog, we ain't going to worry about that. That's not going to do anything. But I'm thinking, this guitar is in the house. I basically, you know Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they take the Lost Ark in the box and just sort of put it in a room where there's nothing. That is what I did with this guitar. I took this guitar, I put it under a bed, and I wouldn't say I forgot about it. When I handed it back over to Billy, I was like, I can't tell you how relieved I am. I had nightmares.
The responsibility.
I had nightmares about the house burning down, the guitar getting ruined. I had nightmares, genuine nightmares of people stealing the guitar.
You couldn't enjoy it, really, could you?
I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was recording.
Yeah,
and then the stark reality after Googling it. Like honestly, like in my head, I'd just be sitting there. I'd be at work and I'd be like, oh, crap, what happens if someone's stealing the guitar right now? I was trying to imagine how I was going to tell Billy that, this guitar, that was given to him as a gift.
Yeah.
It was such a relief to hand it back. It was like the biggest weight off my shoulders. So wonderful having it, as wonderful giving it back.
I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, I can see your point.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
If anyone lends you anything, never Google the value of it.
So you mentioned earlier all the money you've earned over the past 2 years has gone straight to charity. How much have you raised in total? Do you know the rough amount?
Because it's almost like the end of gigs. It just sort of goes. And a lot of the promoters I work with, they work for charity. So I basically, I can just wash my hands of it almost. I almost have...
So there's no, messing around. It's just, it's going.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
And weirdly enough, one of the things in life I really just do not care about is money. So I just don't even think about it. I'm so fortunate to have a roof over my head, running water. These are things that shouldn't be considered a luxury, but they are. I've actually seen in person that they are. So yeah, I really have no idea how much I've actually raised because I just give it to promoters. Even like the CDs that I take along, give to the people. Sort of like I never walk out of a gig outside of there's. I have to be honest. There was one over Christmas where I did a private function and there was a hen party and I kept the money for that and I played covers, so it wasn't my own music.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah,
I became cabaret for one night only. And
sold out for one night.
I sold out for one night, and I can look into the bottom of this Coke can and see nothing but shame and disappointment in myself. I'm sorry, Billy Bragg, I disappointed you.
Will you be doing any more cover shows or?
No, never. That was in a time of Christmas desperation as my car decided. Claude the Ford decided that he didn't want to play games anymore. He just quit, and so I had to quit on my integrity.
I had to sell my soul for one gig.
I did, yeah, I did. I'm not proud of it, but I did.
It's hilarious though, isn't it? Because a lot of bands, well, a lot of solo artists who have been here say we do make a hell of a lot more money just doing cover gigs than playing our own shows, and it's just crazy to think that, isn't it?
Yeah, did it once, never again.
A lot of these people, they're doing it regularly just because they have to.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to make money in music these days, isn't it? You know, like I'll take my hat off to people that do manage it. Totally. Because it's not easy work. I think there's this still idea that it's a really glamorous industry, but unless you're at the top tier, it's a hard.
People
graft.
don't understand the background costs involved in recording and that type of thing. Just people don't know.
No.
And this is what this show's meant to be more about, is you get to know all the ins and outs. That's another pun, wasn't it? Damn it.
The wink. Sorry, mate. You could have got away with that.
I could have, yeah. More of a behind the scenes type thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, well, it does cost a lot of money. And again, I've been really fortunate because the times I've recorded, I've gone to mates and they've all appreciated the fact it's for charity, they're all like-minded. But I think that's probably going to come to an end where I have to put my hand in my own pocket. I mean, even things like going to gigs. I played nearly 90 shows last year. And outside of the one cabaret one, which was right at the end of it at Christmas, I was driving to shows, back from shows, you get drinks whilst you're there, you eat. And more often than not, you don't get that for free. You're putting your hand in your pocket.
Yeah,
if you have one too many drinks, all of a sudden you're getting a taxi home, and you've probably raised 30 quid for charity, and you've spent maybe 60 quid yourself. It's just like
yeah. But even people say musicians don't earn that much, and they don't. But for some people,
I certainly don't.
Getting to those shows, you have to spend a lot to even just get there. I think that's what some people do forget sometimes, because I see a lot of people grumbling on Facebook, oh look, make it down to the show, it's pennies or it's free. These shows are at the beginning or the end of the month, basically. People don't have any money left.
Totally.
And people are they're not thinking okay, these people have to travel, probably have to eat first, and it turns into an expensive night for everyone involved. I think artists sometimes forget that. Sometimes people do make the effort and they do actually spend a lot of money. And a lot of people, they can't do it every week. And people do grumble about that as well. It's oh, why aren't my friends coming to every single show? It's because this is expensive.
Oh yeah, even for
people forget. I think people do honestly forget that, and they get a bit, on their high horse about it. And be like, oh well, no one's supporting me, and just be grateful they came to one.
Yeah, I mean, some people just go, it's a $5 get in, but then all of a sudden, they got train tickets, they've got to actually have drinks while they're there, they've got to exist, then you might pester them for a CD. I'm really lucky that I've got a core set of fans who just don't seem to really miss that many shows. And I'm so grateful for that. But I mean, if I'm going to go I'm playing the Bedford Corn Exchange as my next show, I'm not expecting one of them to be there, really. Yeah. And, I think anyone who makes it there, that's a gift.
Yeah, and I think that bands could do more to entice people as well, because you've only got a certain amount of songs, but I think they need to change it up, make it so that people aren't gonna regret coming to the show and be like, oh, well, they just played the same songs again.
I'm sick of playing the same songs that I have done all year, so I
know bands have a certain set list, but I think they need to entice people in by saying, look, we're going to do something special, we're going to change it up, make it unmissable. I think people are losing the art of actually selling themselves. They're just like, gig, come, that's it. That's another pun! Oh my god! I'm going to leave that in. I'm trying to be so
You're
serious.
going to leave that in, are
Yeah,
you?
I'm going to leave that in. That was great.
Yeah, don't pull that one out.
But you've seen those statuses, haven't you? They're just like, come to our show.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, that's it. Like, why would I want to come to your show?
Yeah.
Like, what is there for me there?
No, totally.
That's different. What am I going to see? That's different from last week when you played the same songs.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so sure that people are sick of seeing me playing the same
and
songs.
I know a lot of people going to these shows. It might be their first time, but make it special. Like, make it memorable.
You know, go up and slow dance with every single person.
Yeah, make it more enjoyable. At the end of the day, people are paying their hard-earned money to come see you.
Absolutely.
They want to get their money's worth. They're like, oh yeah, it's £5, but it's a lot of money. Like, if you think what people are on budgets.
Again, that's just the entrance fee. You know, that's not the rest of the night. You know, that's probably like, you know, what, a sixth of what they'd have to pay really to have a decent night.
And I think bands should stop really grumbling about that, and if they just sell themselves a little bit more.
Are you trying to say prostitution?
No. I'm just saying, make yourself sound like you're going to be unmissable.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I totally agree. It's a show, you know, like the key in showmanship is the word show, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, you can rely on your music being good. Like that.
That's the main thing. No, that's me out the window. I rely on telling terrible jokes. I spent a good 2 minutes talking about what Dumboing was at my EP launch.
Wow.
Do you know what Dumboing is?
No. Do I want to know?
Right, basically what you do, you pull your pockets out inside out like this, so it makes like...
Like ears, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can kind of guess what you have to do for the rest of it.
The elephant trunk.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
yeah, I would pay £5 to see that.
I didn't actually Dumbo, I just sort of explained to people how to go about if they wanted to take Dumbo on tour. Would you pay £5 to see Dumbo on tour? Depends who Dumbo is this week. Barry Manilow, probably not that interested. You know, David Tennant, I'm in.
So let's talk about some of your highlights from 2016 with your music. Obviously, you played a hell of a lot of shows, but for you, if you could maybe do like a top 5, maybe.
A top 5?
Yeah.
Can I just do them in any order, or just like...
any order, yeah.
Do I need to do like a really ridiculous countdown for it? It's at 5! It's that sounded more Borat than a... At 5! Well, I'd have to put the first EP launch up there. I thought that was seriously cool, and it was so nice for people to actually make it. There were so many people. That raised hundreds and hundreds of pounds for charity. See, that's one of the nights I do know that it raised serious money. That was awesome, and I saw people coming from all over just to come and see that. You know, it was so weird seeing shirts with my face on it sort of turn up, which is one of the weirdest experiences of my life. You know, there's you know, seeing like my mates and people who've been coming to shows wearing band shirts, something which I've always worn since I was a kid, was really surreal. You know, obviously, although I'm not particularly proud of that EP, I'm proud of what it achieved, which was, you know, and that was the cause, raising a lot of money. That was huge for me. I'm really proud of that. The show, although it wasn't my best, was, it was a good laugh. Yeah, I wouldn't really have changed that. Another one was, this was, I know people say it's like, oh, it's a show that changed my life, man. But I started to get onto the refugee sort of stuff in November 2015 when it really started hitting the mainstream media. And then at the Guildhall, they did this City of Sanctuary show. Now this one, I'm not saying me, but the whole day together raised £10,000 plus for charity. Like the Cambridge Mayor was there were loads of really cool people, there was a speech going on. And this is at the Cambridge Guildhall. This is like a huge, huge venue. Yeah. I was bricking it. I was absolutely bricking it. And I turned up, and then I started hearing all these figures about, like, there were speakers before, and I turned up early because I wanted to sort of, like, you know, soak in the atmosphere, really. The incredibly morbid atmosphere about finding out how many missing children there are in the migrant crisis. And then I just sort of, like, went, you know, I'm not even... You know, I'm not even nervous anymore. And I just went out there and I played one of my best shows of that year to just this incredible venue. And I love Art Deco, and that's just the most Art Deco thing in the world. Like, I grew up thinking Bioshock was the greatest game of all time. So, yeah, you know, like, for me, it was great. I absolutely loved it. Another one I would say was my first show of 2016, which was at CB2. And this was a Love Music, Hate Racism show, which is one of the ones I do loads. Like, more often than not, I will do a Love Music, Hate Racism show. Again, all the money goes to charity. Basically, like, all the chairs were sort of laid out, and it went beyond sold out. People were literally having to sit down in the aisles. There's pictures of it and stand out at the back.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. Like, you know, and that was my first show back, like, for basically a year and a half. And I tore my vocal cords about 3-4 years ago, and I had to go through, like, vocal rehab. And, you know, there were times I genuinely thought that I would never actually play again. And, you know, this was a gig after taking a really good long break, really, from it. And it just went so well. So well. And, you know, again, loads of money for charity. And it was just a good laugh. I really enjoyed it. Carl, I know what I'm going to pick for... Well, I've got 2 more, haven't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Learn to count to 5, James.
Maybe in 2017.
So, the second last one I'll pick is I played 4 shows at Strawberry Fair last year. After the second one, after the first one, which was terrible, the second one I'd realised I'd made a huge mistake by signing up to 4. And the last one, I was exhausted, and everyone had the joy of telling me how much of a state I looked, which was great. But that last one, actually, just for one moment alone, I was having a really rough patch where my fiance and I had broken up. I was basically sort of dared to play Feel Good Hit the Summer by Queens of the Stone Age, and it shouldn't be anything to be proud of, but playing that while surrounded by loads of children and watching the police look really disapproving at me was funny. You know, it's nothing really to be proud of, but it was funny, and it was different. So, and that was the last one. I think, if anything, just the sense of relief at finishing playing 4 shows. One of them was on the Cambridge 105 stage. I was terrible on air, you know, and that was the first one. The second one, I forgot a capo. Yeah. Well, I managed to lose a capo. And yeah, so the last one, I was just so relieved to get it done. The best part of that, like the second choice out of the 5, was finishing it. But the last one has to be in the refugee camp in Calais, which it's always really weird, sort of like thinking back on it, because I now play Where Did You Sleep Last Night by Leadbelly at the end of every single show I do now. Yeah. And all of that just comes from basically the first time I went to Calais. I went with this group called the Calais Sessions, and the Calais Sessions released an album that got in the top 5 or top 10 of world music on iTunes. Oh, okay. And it raised, again, thousands upon that. I think it sold like over 20,000 copies. Yeah. And it's raised like, you know, thousands, tens of thousands, well, over 10,000, I think, again, pounds worth of money for, you know, I think it was War Child it went to in the end. Being a part of all of them was incredible. Some of the most talented musicians, but there was one moment where it was just me and like all these refugees, and I'd taken over this blue acoustic Fender that I'd got given after my guitar got stolen at a show. So basically the people who sort of came to see me every Thursday at the Emperor clubbed together to get this guitar for me, and I kind of never used it, so I took it over to Calais with a permanent marker, and I got people just to write little messages on it. And yeah, there was a video of me playing like Where Did You Sleep Last Night by Leadbelly, well known by Nirvana Unplugged.
Yeah, you had big shoes to fill doing that kind of
cover. Yeah, it was just like, it was probably the most moving moment of 2016 for me, was sort of like looking back at that video. And that was just a live video, and then, you know, obviously I went to go record the cover of it on Turned On, because it's so old, it's in public domain, so no one can sue me over it, so get in.
Because it isn't a Nirvana song.
No.
Because people, you know, probably might think that.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
So they don't state on Unplugged that it is a cover, do they?
No.
But
they might do, but I'm not sure. I should probably listen to that. But yeah, it doesn't say specifically, but yeah, so it's in public domain.
It's a great version of it, though.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You know, obviously people probably have heard the Nirvana version over the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You should be really proud of that, because a lot of people will make the comparison and be like, but yeah, I think it was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And obviously, yeah,
I'm a huge Nirvana fan as well.
Oh,
so
me too. Like, totally. You know, I was like that grungy little teenager kid going around with my Nirvana hoodie that was never washed.
Yep.
You know, that was me. You know, like I sort of looked up and sort of saw the idea of dying at 27 as appealing when I was a little gitbag, which obviously is just ludicrous. But you know, that was the kind of sort of mythic aura that Kurt Cobain had,
and still does.
Totally, yeah. You know, absolutely. I think, and that Unplugged album and that version of it is just incredible, like absolutely incredible.
I recently watched the newest documentary with all the home footage of him, and they play that song at the end after you've kind of learned all this other information, and that song just changes everything. Again, you listen back to it and you're like, wow, like he was actually singing about this stuff, and you just feel it. Like, it's insane. Like already, if you don't know anything about him and you hear that song, you're like, yeah, that's an incredible song. But once you've watched the DVD and hear that song played at the end, you're like, holy shit.
Nice. See, that's what you want, isn't it? Like, and for me, you know, the idea of like, obviously, when Lead Belly wrote it, it was entirely different because it was like 1930 or whatever. But you know, like being in a refugee camp, like this whole like, where did you sleep last night?
Yeah, it has so many levels.
Totally, and if anything, that just goes to show how awesome that, you know. I mean, the song's coming up to 100 years old soon. You know.
Wow.
Old. Well, yeah, like you know,
Jesus.
and that, I mean, that just shows just the power of music and just how timeless it is, and just what an incredible song.
Yeah,
that definitely was so. To hear, you know, obviously, people like it's always a bit weird. Like I'll play songs and people kind of sort of like wait out for that now. And obviously, it's a little bit weird, you know, like having doing a cover after saying even earlier about covers and stuff that people probably most look forward to me doing that, which is a cover.
But it's different though, isn't it? Because usually bands, or you know, they'll play a cover of like a different type of song.
Yeah. In
a way, like, you know, that represents their sound or something, but I think it's different you picking that song to do as a cover. Like I don't class that as like you just copying a band or something. It's making it your own at the end of the day.
Yeah, well,
that song's in the public domain anyway, so it's like no one really owns it anymore. And
yeah. Cheers, Time. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Time.
Yeah, big fan of that, Time. You keep that going. So yeah, I mean, although I probably didn't appreciate it at the time when I played that, because some guy just sort of like recorded it and then I got sent it when I came back. When I was first in the jungle, I was so sort of pumped up on adrenaline because it was like nothing I'd ever been in before. Like, it's so hard explaining a refugee camp. It's like, particularly one so close to being on our doorstep, which it was. You know, I mean, people, I can understand entirely when you see in the media like all the problems that were caused were like the truck and lorry drivers and stuff. You know, why people would have a real stigma about it all. But actually, like, being there and seeing what it was like and hearing the stories about what they'd come from and seeing the physical scars, you know, like, you know, knife wounds, burn wounds, bullet wounds and stuff on these people, and hearing the stories, spending time with young kids, you know. When I came back, you know, it took a day and a half for it to sink in, and then it was even after that I saw the footage of me just sort of playing Where Did You Sleep Last Night. It didn't take long before I decided that I was going to go back to Calais and sort of do the same thing. And so we recorded it in advance. I took over a handheld camera just to record like the conditions of it. And I think the video and the song that's sort of gone with it now from the studio version, not that one that I was saying recorded live, I think the number of comments I've had from that about how they didn't realise what the conditions were like and how moved they were, I don't really think that's just the music. I think it's the footage hand in hand as well. And Aaron Burrell did such a wonderful job of putting that all together, and I think he deserves more credit than I do actually for the song.
Yeah, definitely. And people should check out that video.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
It's a different perspective at the end of the day, because you do see stuff on the news, but you only see certain things. Like, this footage hasn't been approved or been like tampered with. This is just pure raw footage that you got.
I was also in the studio at the time recording that when the news came in that it was going to be evicted and demolished. I was recording that at the time, so I had to like stop. And you know, I know again there's this whole sort of like, men aren't allowed to cry, they're meant to be like sort of big, so I just sort of broke down. Like, I mean, I was really weak when I first came back from the jungle. So when I went into the studio to record this for that, and that news came in, you know, that kind of broke me. And I think some of that emotion did seep through into the recording as well. But
as we've talked about that song, should we play it on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it. This is Where Did You Sleep Last Night by Lead Belly, as performed by me, James White. my girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. I would shiver the whole night through. Her husband was a hard-working man, just about a mile from here. His head was found in a driving wheel, but his body never was found. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. I would shiver the whole night through.
So before we end the show, I want to know what your future plans and projects are that you might be doing this year or in the future in general.
Meant to be having a quieter year this year after last year, which just was ridiculous.
Just the one EP this year, maybe.
I'll still hope for 2, but a lot less shows. I mean, last year just got out of hand. Basically, anytime anyone mentioned the C word, charity, I just wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
Like, I would not say no, and I just ended up, I burned myself out physically after Calais, emotionally as well, and mentally, and financially as well. I was completely and utterly broke by the end of it in every single term. So a couple of EPs. Tomorrow, for example, I've been invited along to this post-Donald Trump inauguration rally, which has been organised in Cambridge Market Square, where there's an MP speaking, a member of European Parliament, and then me.
Than you.
Which is unbelievable. This guy, at our rally, I can stand here and I can crack
How did you get that gig?
I get invited. It was like this morning. I was driving to work and I answered my phone, hands free,
Okay.
And it was the BBC, and they were like, "Do you fancy having a chat about Donald Trump this morning?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on then. All right, yeah, I've probably got a few things I could say about Donald Trump." And so, yeah, I think after time where I've sort of been away, sort of doing various political things, and the fact that I like to get on my soapbox a little bit about certain things. I mean, one of the two of the things that I think surprises people the most is that, one, I'm training to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Do you think that's why they want to talk to you? Because they're like, okay, this guy's, you know, he's got that side of him, but then he does this
You'd
and
think
does that.
wouldn't you? But I never get introduced as that.
Do you not?
James White, singer from Saffron Walden, which is
okay.
like, and then like the thing is like in this,
It's like you're Superman. You have like a dual identity.
yeah, I also put the red underwear on outside my trousers. I have to get my mum to help me out. God, yeah, no, it's like I'm like that seems to be kept really quite quiet. And the work that I do is sort of helping out squaddies in this country who've got injured and then get kicked out of the army with basically no future, and then just try and sort of you know, get them back on their feet, get them retrained, get them into a different home, and, you know, just give them a bit of a second chance. Yeah. So that's my day-to-day job.
Oh, okay.
And,
wow.
you know, I think, like, but then the other one is, I'm a Cambridge graduate, and no one again can believe that. This guy is sort of like rocked up, where you get most people who are sort of like, "Oh, hello," and then you get me who's like, "Yeah, you're right, how you doing, mate?" Yeah, it's like standing up doing gladiator quotes. It was in archaeology, so feel free to call me Indiana James, that's fine. So yeah, like that's just two things. But yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet or not, but I can stand and I can sort of make a point and sort of debate, because, you know, that's technically my job, and what I get paid to do is to stand there and argue in a barely coherent manner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it,
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, very. You look at me and you think, this homeless guy's got a bit of balls on him, haven't they? If he offers me a big issue, just make sure I don't have any change on me. Because, you know, I look scruffy. I am scruffy. My family are predominantly, you know, working class background. Scatty as hell. But, you know, like, I do like to think sometimes I do have something between my ears that isn't just hair. Somewhere in there.
There's more than meets the eye.
Well, let's hope so, because otherwise I ain't got a chance in hell, have I?
So this will be the last question. I want to talk about guilty pleasures with music. With music. Hold on. Hold the phone.
Yeah, so I'm not going to open up my boot in my S&M dungeon. No, guilty pleasures. I'm not even ashamed about this. And
yeah, no one's ever ashamed. It's just everyone has them.
The thing is, it's not even guilty, because I've had a George Michael CD in my car for years now. Years. I love him. I absolutely love George Michael. And 2016 was horrible. Taking him on Christmas Day is the most sick thing that year could have done. Yeah. And then Carrie Fisher. I grew up a Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What a horrible end. And then today, Gabe the dog. Gabe the dog. I mean, kick a man whilst he's down. You know, I was there preparing for a speech and Gabe the dog died. Shocking. But yeah, George Michael, by far. I listen to him on the way to gigs so I can warm my voice up. I will.
That's cool.
If I drive through towns, I lower my windows down and turn up the volume.
Yeah.
Like, and I will mouth, you know, like mime along to things like Outside.
Yeah. That's
I don't
brilliant.
care. Like, I love George Michael. And the thing is, I grew up hating him because my parents listened to him everywhere they went. And it was just like overkill. It was just like, oh my God, this guy sucks. And then I went to uni and I got really homesick. And so I started listening to the beautiful sound from George Michael, which my family both really loved. And ever since then, yeah, George Michael in particular, or as I like to call him, Georgie Boy.
Georgie Boy.
Yeah, I've got, I think, 2 or 3 CDs in my car. 3. I've got his Symphonica and I've got his Ladies and Gentlemen Greatest Hits, which is a double album.
Wow.
Nothing from Wham. Just want to wash my hands of that one.
Oh, okay, but that's interesting. Actually, no Wham.
He said he just had an unbelievable voice. He really did. And I'm actually working on doing a cover where I slap my guitar along to Father Figure. Watch out, 2017. You thought 2016 was bad. Father Figure from this guy coming along.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, if anyone's going to be any less of a father figure, it's going to be this guy, isn't it? So, you know. Like,
will there be a video accompanied with that? Or?
Doubt that. I don't think I'll probably break down and cry. Yeah. Oh, bless him.
So where can everyone find you on social media and all those platforms?
Well, my personal Twitter account is @ButtScratcher.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, ButtScratcher. My musical one, which I'm really naff with, was meant to be @The James White Project, but I didn't realise it ran out of characters, so it says The James White Pr.
Oh.
But it works. It almost says like The James White PR, but the R is like lowercase.
Yeah, it's Baz messaging you like, can you reshare our tweet?
Oh,
No.
I'm so naff on Twitter these days. Like, I think I'm just getting old and boring. On Facebook, you can just search James White Music Page, facebook.com/James White Music Page, or even more simply, which I could have started, I have a website which is simply www.jameswhitemusic.com,
Yeah.
and the white is spelled as in the colour. I said colour, not power, just so
Yes.
you know. I'm not that guy.
And you're on Spotify as well, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I am. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, I'm on Spotify and iTunes, but yeah, somewhere.
And you can follow Local Distortion on Facebook as well, Local Distortion Podcast. Just type it in, it will come up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, because that's where I put all my content. And I need over 100 subscribers, then I can name the channel as well. Which
Can you
would
not
be
do
cool.
that? That is so harsh, isn't
Yeah,
it?
they've changed it, so because people were nicking like good ones.
Oh,
So now they've said you get 100 subscribers and then you can name your channel now.
fair enough. That actually
Yeah,
does
that
make
makes
sense.
sense.
Sorry, YouTube.
I'm very
I take
close. I need like 28 subscribers.
I'll do a shout out. I'll give you a hand.
Yeah. So
That's right.
please subscribe.
In my speech tomorrow, I'll be like,
Yes.
you all need to follow the
Yeah.
Distortion podcast.
If you could all
And
do me
Donald
a
Trump
favour.
is a filthy liar.
That would be amazing. Please throw that in there.
Yeah, sure.
On a totally unrelated subject, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Got some great stuff. And I'm on Twitter as well. Yeah, just type in Local Distortion. I'll come up. It's Dan L Distortion. So thank you to my guest, James White.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate that. I'm sorry I've kept you guys from your dinner for so long. And I'm sorry you're going to have such a horrible job editing this because I have such a terrible sense of humour.
It'll be fine. I think I can work with it. I think I can make it sound good. I'm confident.
You're a magician. Well, thanks so much for having me, guys.